So the year is winding down on our farm. The harvest is complete, the crop is in the bins, and now we're preparing our fields and planning for next year. This is not a beautiful season. Unlike late spring when the fields are first starting to show rows of new green life, with the exception of a few cover crops, there's nothing green in the fields now. It's mostly just brown, gray, or black, and the crews that are hastily applying manure to the fields add that special aroma that many Iowans associate with late fall. We have to look a little bit deeper to find the beauty. How many of you in this room have ever experienced the joy of eating a meal composed mostly of things that you grew yourself? That's great. So I don't have to convince you that whether it's large scale or small scale, there is a special satisfaction that comes from planting a seed and caring for it, watching it grow through the sun and the rain, and finally choosing just the right moment to harvest it. Raising livestock can have a similar satisfaction, although killing a living creature pulls at the unhardened heart a little bit differently than just plucking a vegetable. So I'm grateful to the plants and animals whose lives begin and end for our benefit. Farming these days looks wildly different than it did when my great-great-grandfather left his farm in Norway and started farming in central Iowa. As the Industrial Revolution changed life for everyone, farms grew from subsistence to industrial-scale operations. The era of year-round back-breaking labor is thankfully over, unless you're a dairy farmer or a migrant worker. My planting and harvesting is now performed largely in air-conditioned comfort, with GPS-guided computerized equipment planting rows straighter and harvesting them faster than my ancestors would ever have dreamed possible. Well, I listen to audiobooks or sing along with the radio. The advances in seed genetics, soil analysis, pest protections let me produce 5 or 6 times as much corn on an acre of land compared to my great-grandfather 100 years ago. So I'm grateful to modern science, to good tools, and to well-designed equipment. But it's a bit awkward when people thank me for growing their food, though, because I generally don't actually grow food. Most of what I grow is dry corn and soybeans, just like most of the rest of the farms in Iowa. And these are better understood as industrial feedstocks rather than as food because vanishingly little of the corn and soybeans grown in Iowa is eaten by humans. More than half the corn goes to produce ethanol, and not the fun sort that livens up your uncle at Thanksgiving dinner. Most of the rest is fed to livestock, eventually becoming bacon and McNuggets, but not to humans directly. I feel some envy for those farmers who can take their crops and enjoy them fresh before they ever leave the field. So I'm grateful for my family's garden and our sweet corn patch, which lets us actually taste the fruits of our labor. I'm grateful for when I have the chance to share some of that with you all. And I'm grateful for others in this fellowship who share the bounty of their gardens and their fruit trees, their plant cuttings, their seeds with all of us. While Iowa produces mostly corn and soybeans, that isn't true everywhere, of course. There are places where the labor markets and the growing seasons are better suited to producing the foods that make up most of our diet. We then have the infrastructure to move those foods across the world in time for me to enjoy fresh pineapple in the dead of winter. So I'm grateful to our modern food system, which enables us to enjoy foods that our ancestors could only dream of. And I'm grateful for the farmers elsewhere in the world that produce pecans and cranberries and pie spices, potatoes, green beans, and even turkeys. But there's always a cost, and it's not always one worth paying if we were given the choice. There's costs to the community, to the people who were here before us, to the air and the water and the soil and the ecology and the whole rest of the world. Today is perhaps not the day to enumerate all of the problems that exist within our modern agricultural and food systems, but we can't forget that they exist. So I'm grateful to the people who push our farming system to do better, to take better care of our soil and our water, to be more respectful to our farm workers, more humane to livestock, and less destructive to wildlife. I'm especially grateful to those who work in changing the legal structure in which we work and live to better align our laws and markets and other incentives with the public good. And I'm grateful to those in this fellowship who are part of that noble work. At the core, though, I'm grateful for this place where I am privileged to live, where the combined blessings of the gods of geology, climatology, and ecology have created such a marvelous environment for growing things.